Alrighty, before we dive into the once human stuff this morning, I feel it's kind of like my obligation to talk a little bit about the Ashes of Creation situation. The really big part of that being, I am really, I am really glad to see content creators who might not have liked each other in the past coming together, all working together to make sure that Stephen Sharif can't continue to manipulate the narrative when it comes to Ashes of Creation. And I choose my words very carefully to say manipulate the narrative, because if you haven't heard, and there's not very many of you here yet, and that's okay, Theory Forge did a video, and then we've been spreading it around. TFE Games Holding in Nevada withdrew their lawsuit in conjunction with Stephen Sharif and John Moore. And Stephen Sharif went on like a massive like victory lap. And it was this ridiculous spin narrative. Like, you would think that Stephen would get his nutsack out of the vice, and he would just be happy that he has his nuts out of one vice. So what he said was, wrong one. There we go. What he said was kind of interesting. He said, "The lawsuit filed against me and John has been dismissed. This was always a complete fabricated lawsuit claiming that we had misappropriated money from Intrepid, harmed the company, or somehow caused the collapse that Rob Dawson and his board created. Those allegations were false when they filed them, false when they pursued them in public narrative, and false when they used them as the distraction to cover for the board's conduct. Now the case they used to fuel that narrative has been dismissed." Okay, Stephen, why don't you try telling the truth? And this is where I hope Stephen Sharif is never allowed. I sincerely hope that the game industry does not allow Stephen to weasel his way back into the situation, because what Stephen's failing to disclose here is that it was jointly stipulated. Yeah, Stephen's being a liar again. What a complete shocker. Because he's, and what Stephen really struggles with is lies of omission. Stephen really, really struggles with telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This was dismissed, but it was dismissed without prejudice. So what that means is it means that TFE Games Holdings can refile. But what Stephen fails to bring your attention to is TFE Games Holdings and defendants Stephen Sharif and John Moore, by and through their undersigned counsel of record, stipulate the parties have agreed to the dismissal without prejudice of all claims pending in this proceeding. So Stephen's taking this ruling out for like a spin, and what Stephen doesn't realize is it's not that it's not that they needed to pursue this in Nevada, because what Stephen's not saying is Stephen filed in federal court in Nevada, in California. And Rob Dawson is winning in California. Stephen got his temporary restraining order until the date of the preliminary injunction hearing. On the day of the preliminary injunction hearing, Robert Dawson said, "Your Honor, we've moved the assets back to TFE Games Holdings because you indicated that you don't believe it was commercially viable. So we've put them back." Stephen's like, earlier this week, Stephen was like, why doesn't the board want an independent person? Well, they don't want an independent person because they don't want to pay for somebody to go through their books. But this shit that Stephen's putting out there, this complete farce of a lawsuit was part of a broader scheme to control the narrative by muddying the waters and distracting from the highly unlawful actions now laid out in our federal lawsuit against Rob Dawson and his cronies. While the employees were thrown into chaos, vendors and creditors were left out in the cold, and Ashes of Creation community were left searching for answers. The board and its allies pushed a story designed to make us the villains, so people wouldn't focus on the truth of this catastrophe and what the board had actually done. Hold on, Stephen. Let's roll back a second. Rob Dawson wasn't even involved in the company when Streamline Media out of Malaysia had to sue you. Jason Karamanis and the Yaya Legacy Trust had the right to a board seat all the way back in 2017. You claimed that the board was made up of you, John, and Tom, but Jason's paperwork clearly states he's entitled to a board seat and he's entitled to 15% of the company. So none of what has happened takes away from the fact that the hidden investor video that I did where I laid out the timeline, you notice that Stephen doesn't ever address the Warhammer painting short that I did, the magic cards, the DoorDash. He doesn't address any of those things that myself and Nafis, Zyback have brought up. He only will talk about the things that make Rob Dawson look bad. The evidence that we have put forth shows the conduct they were so desperately want hidden. It shows a board that seized control through threats and coercion, manufactured secured debt that had already been converted into equity, used that manufactured debt structure to feign insolvency and steal Intrepid's assets. Stephen is so full of shit, the company was insolvent. Stephen is creating a narrative in his own mind. It works like this. I'm going to use my own life so that Stephen can't come back later and be like, oh, Jay defamed me. My daughter has $11 in her bank account. Okay? My daughter is a grown-ass adult. She has $11 in her bank account. Her rent is due. I have verbally promised to pay her rent every month. Verbally promised. We have a deal. However, today, my daughter has verbally promised she will get two things done. There is a very wonderful woman that is making a dress for my daughter. So she has to go get measured. And she has to come over to the house today to try on some shirts that my wife bought for her so that my wife can start. My wife does cricket work and makes shirts. So what we have is a verbal agreement. If you do these two things today, I will transfer the rent money immediately upon you doing these two things. That should sound very familiar to everything that happened with Stephen Sharif and Rob Dawson. Rob Dawson said, if you sign this paperwork, I will transfer money to Intrepid so you can make payroll. Intrepid was insolvent because Intrepid only made $21 million in sales. They raised $3 million in Kickstarter money. Stephen himself claimed that they were burning $800,000 a week. And then left hundreds of hardworking families to suffer the consequences in a gross violation of labor laws. That is the outrageous conduct they did not want the public focused on. Okay, that is true. But Stephen, you didn't release any information. You were the chief executive officer. Stephen, what you failed to realize is that even though you got a couple of people to write letters, why didn't you have 210 letters in your filing from every employee that was impacted? And he knows the reason why. Most of the employees have found out they hate his fucking guts. It has already come out that from some of the employees. Some of the employees know Steven resigned when he found out he wasn't going to get equity in the new company, because Steven was never able to prove to Rob Dawson, Ryan Ogden, or Jason Karamanis to where he put his $4 million in. Remember, Steven said at one point I put in $2 million. In his own filings, I put in $9.5 million. He told Asmongold he put in $55 million. And in an email trail, it says, where's the $4 million? Tell her to get a boyfriend? No. I take care of my daughter. But you do the shit you need to do. Otherwise, if I pay the rent this morning without her doing what she needs to do, then I have no bag. If I have no bag, I have no say. Could that statement be seen as defamation? Yes, it could. He's portraying this case as if the judge has ruled in his favor, and that's the opposite of what's actually happening. That is true. As shown in the witness testimony and public filings, their plan was not subtle. They orchestrated a scheme to take Intrepid's assets and then conspired to have Jason Karamanis push distorted narratives through his online mouthpiece so that the public conversation would revolve around the ridiculous accusations against me and John instead of their unlawful foreclosure. Okay, so then why right here isn't there a statement that says all those DoorDash charges are fake? What Steven doesn't like is that because he wanted to be beloved, he was constantly sharing stuff with the community, and we've been able to match Steven's Discord postings of his dinner to DoorDash charges. Even the chef that got interviewed said, I would cook healthy meals for Steven and his diabetes, and the next day I would come in and there'd be Popeyes and Taco Bell and shit. You can't mix and match. And I'm sure Steven's gonna have the next bullshit. He's like, oh, well, what really happened is John keeps our financial records, and the way they pull, shut the fuck up. I've never met a single person who keeps each individual transaction of DoorDash in their personal life in QuickBooks. Never. I've certainly never met anybody who keeps each individual DoorDash transaction they do in their personal life in a QuickBooks file and called it business meals. Unless they were either one, defrauding the IRS, or two, dipping into the company. They wanted confusion. They wanted outrage pointed in the wrong direction. They wanted the community fighting over false claims while they attempted to salvage control of the assets they tried to siege. This is a common playbook for them. Dude, if this is a common playbook for them, then you just made yourself look fucking worse. Because these are the people you went to for money. Is the Nevada case getting refiled? It was withdrawn. It was jointly withdrawn, so jointly dismissed without prejudice. What they did to the Intrepid team was inhuman. What they did to the community was cruel. What they did to our reputation was deliberate. No, Steven, your reputation is dog shit because you're a dog shit human being. You're a dog shit human being. I used to think very highly of Steven Sharif. I used to consider him a friend. I would banter with him as a friend. And then he lied to my face a second time. And then after he lied to my face a second time, what he really thought about me came out. See, I always was public about when I was disgruntled. Calling me a jackass in private to people because you're trying to just, you're trying to bond with other creators. And then some of those creators started taking pot shots at me to try to bond back with Steven. Steven, you're not a good person. You're just as culpable. See, Steven is trying to do, how did he lie? Oh, we don't have investors. I'm self-funding the project. I have all this money invested into Intrepid. That the Alpha Zero map the Alpha Zero build is actually the world we're working on. Oh wait, no, we scrapped that. The Alpha 1 build is really the world we're working on. Oh wait, no, it never was. These vertical slices are actually real vertical slices. No, we're not putting these together just for the live streams. People inside Intrepid have told us every month thousands of man hours were pissed away in order to build these vertical slices to show the game off. Every single thing that they showed off was left in tech debt. Nothing was buttoned up. Nothing was finished because he never gave the teams time to build and finish anything. That's how he lied. Also, he said, this is everything the board did. Steven, you were on the board. Steven, you knew what the plan was going on. You didn't do anything to stop it. They took a project that millions of people were waiting for. Well, millions of people might be a stretch in an exaggeration. Yeah, you had less than 100,000 forum accounts. You averaged about 50,000 views on your YouTube videos. You had about 350,000 Steam backers after you transferred over all your other backers. So I don't think millions of people were waiting for the game. A team that had spent years building it in a company with real value. Real value? What do you mean a company with real value? You were in the negative. The only reason why your company actually ever stayed afloat was because people kept putting money into it. You weren't generating money. You were receiving bailout money. Instead, PowerPlay to line their pockets and leave everyone else on the bag. Line their pockets with what? He's making it out that in Ashes of Creation is 98% ready to ship to market, and Rob Dawson stole it from him 5 meters from the finish line. This game is $60 million in 3 years from a launch build. Despite that PowerPoint presentation that circulated around will produce the most bare bones version of the game possible so that they can start trying to recoup money. They tried to blame the wreckage on the very people who'd worked tirelessly for a decade trying to deliver the game they promised. Yeah, they tried to blame it on you. I will never allow that to stand. Their lawsuit is now dismissed. Oh, shut the fuck up. Their lawsuit isn't dismissed. Sure, their lawsuit is dismissed, but you agreed to dismiss it, and it's dismissed without prejudice. They can refile it anytime they want. They can also refile it in California, the proper jurisdiction for Intrepid Studios. I will not rest until the harm done to the team, Intrepid stakeholders, and Ashes of Creation community, and the millions, you don't have millions of fans, please stop lying, who believed in this project is answered for. They tried to bury the truth under lawsuits, threats, public smears, shell entities, and manufactured confusion. They failed. The truth is moving into court, into the record, into the light. There will be maximum accountability. I truly hope that just out of spite that Robert Dawson and his other people sue him for defamation. I think it would be absolutely fitting if Jason Karamanis especially sued Stephen Shreve for slander, libel, defamation of character, because my simple response would be, you were so threatened by Jason Karamanis that you didn't go to the police and you didn't file a police report. And yes, Jason has admitted that he years ago had a conviction. But the thing is that Steven is playing a very dangerous game because he keeps saying maximum accountability, maximum accountability, maximum accountability. Okay, well then let's see let's open up the Amazon account and let's open up every single Amazon purchase. Let's open up the IRS code book where it talks about that private chef you paid for. You have to pay for that. That you have to claim that on your W-2. Let's talk about this bullshit that the private chef revealed about you, that you hired a private chef to work at the studio in a building that you didn't own. And it's going to be real easy to find out whether or not you ever asked the building to file for permits to renovate that building. Because for those of you that don't know, you can't just put a cafe or a restaurant or food prep services into a commercial building. On a second floor building, it's nearly impossible to jam in a second floor cafe. Number one, if the water pipes weren't pre-planned to put a cafe there, then you won't have all the grease trapping that you need to have by code in California. And number two, although some states allow it, I do not believe California does, and I know my state doesn't. You can't side vent your exhaust hoods. You have to roof hood your exhaust hoods. So they have to go up, which means if you're on the second floor and there's a third floor, the third floor tenant has to suddenly be okay with you putting an exhaust hood up through their leased space. So really, the chef thing on its own is enough to sink him. But all this other shit, do not let that man continue to spin his fucking narrative. Yes, Robert Dawson and the rest of the board, they did some horrible shit. And I am in no way, shape, or form defending the board. And I think that's where a lot of people that start talking about, they're like, oh, well, if Steven's wrong, then the board is right. No, everybody can be wrong. I think that's the piece from it. Everybody can be wrong. They all can be weasels. We got all weasels. We got no good guys. We have all weasels. I think it's the only one that I don't think is a weasel, honestly, is Jason Karamanis. I truly don't believe he did anything nefarious, and there might be more. And I know some people will be like, oh, well, he's a bad man. He gave Steven a loan at 20% APR. Yeah, but Steven signed it. I'm not going to feel bad for a dude who claims that he's like smart and has all this business acumen. And then is like, oh, but he's a big bad man and he gave me money at 20% compounding. Well, then you're a fucking dumbass. Why'd you sign it? Yeah, let's just open up the DoorDash. Where did those DoorDash deliveries go? It's just ridiculous, man. And the worst part, there's a difference between you liking something, right, and something being objectively good. There are people who are like, Ashes of Creation's combat was the best of any game on the market. No, the fuck it wasn't. Please fucking stop. Every time somebody says Ashes of Creation's combat was the best on the market, what it does is it lowers the fucking bar from here. It's like you could have negative combat and people would be like, I fucking love this. Please have some pride. We used to have good games. I would say that if your combat is worse than WoW's, you don't have great combat. I did see some stuff about Scars of Honor. Lots of people are saying, lots of people are talking a lot of things about Scars of Honor this weekend. It's in big testing. I did see they're having some server shenanigans. I haven't been invited yet, which is okay. As you can see, you probably can't see. I have my arm brace on. I partially dislocated my shoulder. It dislocates on its own. So kind of sucks. I wouldn't exactly want to be trying to enjoy a new game today anyway. Best combat is still Vindictus. I will agree with you action combat wise, yes, but the caveat to that is Vindictus is still a very, very good combat game, but because it's not an MMO, it's kind of an MMO, and I wish that we could all get together as a community and figure out, like, we're not going to call things MMOs just to call them MMOs. We're going to call them persistent world games, and then we're going to have massive open world persistent worlds, and then co-op persistent worlds. Because right now, games like Where Winds Meet are coming out. Games like Once Human are coming out. Yeah, they're persistent worlds, but, you know, they're not exactly massive. Everything is great if you have no standards. Yeah, you can call everything great. You can call absolutely everything great if you have absolutely no standards. Like, every girl at the bar is a 10 if she's interested in you, and every girl at the bar is a 2 if she's not. No, buddy. You're the 2. Speaking of Vindictus, why has that game never gone to console? The way the game is now is made for it. That is a great question. I am not a game developer. I can barely code web pages. But what somebody explained to me once is that it is very costly to it is very, very costly to port things over to console. You have to, there are minimum standards you have to meet when you're trying to put your game on the console. We saw this demonstrated with what was it? Cyberpunk 2077, where it failed to meet some basic standards. So which one was it? The PlayStation Network pulled it off the store. This was also where the Fun Pimps with 7 Days to Die, they didn't have somebody organically on staff that could handle the Xbox ports. They ended up sending it to another company to handle the Xbox ports, and then that company ended up losing the distribution rights. The Fun Pimps ended up spending a bunch of time fighting to get their IP out of bankruptcy court. That might have something to do with why Vindictus didn't end up on console. The company might not have any desire to put it on console. They might think they might not think the juice is worth the squeeze. There's lots of reasons why they might not go about that. But I think companies in the future are going to have to start really, really considering making sure that they put their games on console. The market's getting pretty, the PC market's getting pretty slim. Gamers are starting to recognize it's hard. PC technology is refreshing so often. It's a little hard to stay up to date with your PC hardware. Your console is at least good for a couple of years. Although I saw this big brouhaha this week about, what was it? Somebody found some stuff on the PlayStation where there's like an expiration date on the purchases you buy. I didn't really catch up on all of it, but if you don't log in, if you don't go online every X number of days, like, your PlayStation won't work. That was something that I remember in the military. The Xbox was going to have that flaw. And I do remember the Department of Defense reached out to Microsoft and said, hey, our deployed members often bring Xboxes, but we don't allow them to hook their Xboxes up to and there's no network for them to hook up to. So if they have to hook up to a network, they won't be able to use their Xboxes. So I know Xbox or Microsoft made a change. But I don't remember exactly what I was reading this week. But that's part and parcel with the whole, you can't set up your Windows account now without making a, you can't set up your PC anymore as a clean PC, a standalone. I was able to do it with running the script that I happen to know about, but I wasn't able to do it normally. Normally you could just say, I want to set this up as a clean PC. I also noticed when I set up my PC, I said, I want to set this up as a new PC. When it said log in, it still did things. Like, I know this isn't the politics show, but I would really like for the government to step in and slap Microsoft. Hey, Rail, I made your spring rolls. They're in the fridge next to the mannequin. Yeah, you can't even buy one of those $100 TVs without giving it your blood type. Invite him to our weeklies. So on to Once Human. Once Human is bringing back the anti-gravity event, which, needless to say, number one means Rail and I have been on this server for far too long, because we've been here since the last gravity event, and oh, that would have been bad. Number two, I think this game is a textbook example of a game where you can't go in 12 directions. You really, really, really have to know what direction you want to go in your game. I only vaguely looked at how they're going to be doing the wheel now. It seems like they release a set of patch notes at how they're going to be doing the wheel, and then they change it. I'm a little disgruntled that they didn't share notes with the content creators in advance. Normally they give us like a more bullet sheet. Give me 1 second. I didn't want to go to this PC. I wanted to stay on the other one. 1 or 2 dedicated servers and just making 1 dedicated world on each server. That way you can do it if you want to and not be forced. Oh, that's okay. That's actually that's really good. Putting the visional wheel only on 1 or 2 of the worlds is infinitely better than the shit that we've had going on, where you're stuck with it all the time. I don't mind going over to the anti-gravity shit for the events, but I don't want to be like, I don't want my balls to be floating while I'm trying to be in my own base. If companies cannot self-regulate without being shit stains, then I agree the FTC needs to introduce new guidelines for legal obligations in regards to a purchase. Yeah. It's like built-in obsolescence. I hate built-in obsolescence. Yeah, everyone always jumps to World 1 for the events anyway. Samsung really pissed me off a couple of years ago. I had a perfectly good tablet. That's a tad loud. I had a perfectly good tablet. That's still quite loud. And then perfectly good tablet, and Samsung's, I got a message on it one day that says, your tablet is no longer able to be updated with our newest operating system. But that's because you want to sell me a new tablet. Like, it pissed me off because I couldn't do anything with it. Like, literally nothing. I could understand if they were going to say certain stuff like, you can't do like purchases. Like I would say, oh, there's new, if they said, oh, well, the US government has required new encryption for credit card purchases and your tablet no longer meets the minimum encryption requirements, it's whatever bullshit, technobabble, insert Geordie LaForge here, I would be like, oh, okay, so I can't make purchases for my tablet. And then I would accept that from that, the logical step is, yes, certain features may not be available. But are you telling me that my tablet, which from its starting position had more power than my Kindle, now can't even be used as a fucking Kindle? And again, I would be okay if they said you won't be able to make purchases through the Kindle store, but my Kindle is as old as my tablet and I can still make purchases through my tablet. So what, Samsung only does major software updates for 2 years. Yeah, like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like fucking bullshit. Like, imagine if that happened with like other stuff. Your pacemaker System EXE has stopped working on your pacemaker. Like, wait, what? No, you can't install a different OS on it. That's why I buy iPhone now. They split the phones much longer. I still have an iPhone 13. That's, I don't update my phone until, my phone doesn't work anymore. I don't need my phone to do crazy shit. I need my phone to do... all I need my phone to do is let me make phone calls and send texts. I had a wonderful Nexus 6 that was like 6 years old, and the only reason why I upgraded it is because when I was running, I dropped it and then I stepped on it, and the guy that was going to fix it for me said, I can fix it, but it is going to literally be like $350 for the screen. So you are way better off just buying a new phone. Yeah, let me shut down my heart for a minute to update my drivers, right? But you know, there is some fucking businessman out there. There's some businessman out there that would not see a problem with the dark humor in that. He'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Oh. Oh, you got the last one. Where the fuck's the last one? Oh, it's upstairs on the other landing. I hate this fight because I'm blue colorblind. I sometimes have to memorize fights. I have to call my wife in here and be like, is this shit blue? And she'll just laugh because she knows, like, I'm struggling here. She'll walk in, she'll be like, okay, this is blue, this is blue, this is blue. I have to remember what's blue. There was a game called Atlantica Online. We used to play it together. And we were in a fight. We were in a guild. And we got into this fight. And this dungeon. And everything is blue. And luckily, it's one of the few games that has a true colorblind mode. So I was able to really quickly click on the colorblind marker on the top of the page, which then changes all the colors. It was interesting after that. I had done a because I used to wear red colored lenses when I would play a game that would have that I would have color blindness problems on. I kept red sunglasses on my desk. But it was just interesting because I was doing some reading. Koreans don't suffer from color blindness anywhere near in the same numbers that Westerners do. That's why for Koreans, colorblind mode isn't really a big thing. But if anybody is in Scars of Honor's testing, let me know how it's going. I'm interested to find out about that game. Soulframe is very good. I haven't had a chance to get back into it yet because I've just had a lot of Nitnoid stuff going on. But Soulframe was very good. If you can get into Soulframe for free, if you can get one of their keys, and they give away keys during their live streams, I highly recommend trying to pick one up. If you liked Warframe, I think the game is brilliantly done already, and it's still in development. And foot stomp, fair warning, it's a game in development. So, and then we've got what do we got? We're kind of we've got arcade. We got some interesting news. And I'm sorry, I just haven't been feeling well enough all day, every day to finish. But apparently, there's 2 arcade games coming out. One's an MMO and one's a single-player RPG. So we did get a little bit of hope that there's a spiritual successor to the original Arcade. People were worried that this single-player focused thing that was coming was all that was coming. And then I know that it doesn't like really solve the problem for today, but we have 2 arcade games coming out and we have Chrono Odyssey coming out. So that's gonna be a good time. Also, I'm probably gonna be disappearing a lot in the next 12 months because Crusader Kings Paradox Interactive has literally just decided to say, hold my beer, they're doing their next couple of updates just come across as crazy. Like, they're revamping the religion system to be something that I thought it always should have been. They have religions and then your own personal, like, they call it your own personal Jesus, but your personal adherence to faith. So I thought that was a really interesting direction to go. I still think, hands down, Paradox Interactive, I think they would be an amazing MMO company. I think an MMO, because they're traditionally grand strategy games, but I think an MMO based on like Crusader Kings could absolutely work. No, this Chaosium Ray bullshit has got to go. I don't know who the fuck got this one approved, but that there should not be there should not be an attack that deletes you. Like, that's just bullshit. Me and Rail end up playing Who's the Chump today. Who's getting deleted by the Chaosium Ray. Fucking nonsense. I try to throw out the turret and hope the turret gets picked. I had to laugh too. My daughter went to track practice yesterday. She quit track. I mean, my kids always have been told the rule. If you join an activity or a sport, you do it to the conclusion. And if you hate it at the end, then that's okay. You can quit at the end, but you can't quit in the middle. And so she throws discus and shot put. She's really good, but we have really terrible coaches. You don't agree with kicking people in the balls, but the person who designed the beam needs one. Yeah. So my daughter goes to track practice yesterday. And then my phone rings and it's my 20-year-old. And she's like, hey, Gizmo called me. She's trying to get in touch with mom. I'm like, well, why the fuck isn't she trying to get in touch with dad? Something's going... I think something else is going on again with the military. Because whenever something big's going on with the military, magically, the phone networks around here get stupid all the time. I said to my kid, I was like, what's up? She's like, oh, we don't have practice, only the runners do. Like, these coaches are terrible. These coaches are just awful. And then the track coach can't figure out why more of the kids from middle school don't, because we only have one set of coaches. We have a set of coaches for middle school and high school. We don't have dedicated middle school coaches. And the high school coach is like, well, I don't understand why more kids don't join track. You're the reason. You're an asshole. The track team is like, we don't get parental support. Because you're the asshole. There it is. Like, the one night, these are middle school kids, right? My daughter was not put on the roster of competitors one day, and she was okay with that. The rest of the team, these are middle school kids. They left right after school. They didn't get home until 9:30. What? And some of the parents are starting to get pissed. They're like, where are the children? Where are the kids? Well, they're on their way back. No, not they're on their way back. Where exactly are they right now? Like the one day it was bad. The bus driver driver was just driving all the hell over creation because traffic was bad. Dude, if my wife can get back in 25 minutes, it shouldn't take the bus 55 minutes to get back. You only went 2 towns over. And then the bus driver was like, well, I was just following the directions of the coach on board. Oh, never mind, Mr. Bus Driver, then it's not your fault. We're not going to blame you. I just think that we need to just take a good long look at society. Also, I want to buy the designer of this weapon a cheeseburger. I see a lot of people, so is WoW good again? I don't know if we have any WoW players. I'm hearing people say WoW is good again. I know WoW is always good for a bit and then sucks for a bit. I know WoW came back a while ago. The housing, people said the housing was good. People are like, this is great. I saw Final Fantasy XIV announced its next expansion pack. I probably will not go. I will not go back to Final Fantasy. LMGs, yeah, there are LMGs, but when they did the mods update here in Once Human, they what they did was they put magazine capacity on every mod. And so this weapon starts, I think, with 43 rounds. And by the time I'm done having mods on it, I think now 143 something rounds in it. Some absurd nonsense. This weapon specifically, when this weapon was described, Rael literally told me no. He's like, no. And I was like, oh no, I'm doing it. And this weapon is just stupidly broken. Yeah, like, having a double-barreled shotgun with 5 rounds in it, like, I kind of understand the game developers, and then I kind of don't. Yeah, a P90 has 50 round magazine. Mine is 143. Like, what? Why? I don't even, to be honest, I don't even know how many bullets a light machine gun would have. I don't run light machine guns. It probably would have in the neighborhood of 300 rounds. Yeah, before the update, Boom Boom had 132. So I would probably definitely have around 300 if I ran all my level 17 mods. Only one way to find out. Disregard wiki, min-maxing the fun out of curiosity. Yeah, I think there's a really important thing that needs to happen with game designers. And I think game designers need to start with the idea that I think every game designer needs to start with an idea that they need to start from a smaller number so that by the time they're done building, the number isn't as big. I think in gaming, we've gotten to this really, really dangerous spot where we have giant, massive numbers by the end. Like Final Fantasy XIV, for example, you have summoners that are dropping enough damage to crack the planet. And you're like, why? Why am I throwing out numbers this big? And then what does every game inevitably have to do? Stat squash. Stat compress. Well, maybe if you didn't stat bloat so much in the beginning. Power creep making players happy, leading to inevitable number crunch and guaranteed to piss players off. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, fuck. Power creep which makes the players happy today, which then 3 years from now makes them quit. It's like I said, start them small and then give them little boosts so they start to feel good about themselves. So that later on down the road, you're not dealing with millions of points of damage. Lightning catch my ass. Wow, I had to go through that entire cycle twice. Yeah. EVE Online had to go through that cycle, and that was painful. But at least with EVE Online, they caught that cycle, they caught the adjustment early enough in its existence. Like, they knew it was going to be a problem. They were like, oh, kind of shit. But EVE was also smart enough that they very early in beta, they figured out, they were like, oh, yeah, that ain't gonna work. But see, EVE Online was smart about it. They told the players, break this shit. Break it horribly. Break it in the most fucking googly eyes. Break this shit in the ugliest ways possible. Because we don't want it to be a problem later. Like, I remember the week the Drake battlecruiser came out, I built my Drake with passive shield regen, and I was tanking level 5 missions in a Drake. And you're not. One battlecruiser is not supposed to tank a level 5 with passive shield regen. No, that is absolutely not what we intended. You're waiting on Classic Plus on WoW. What's Classic Plus? I don't know what Classic Plus is. I don't play WoW. I did try to go back to WoW a couple of years ago, and what really made me mad about trying to go back to WoW was they changed the Forsaken starting story. So it really bothered me. It really pissed me off. So I said goodbye. I said I has gots to go. And that was it. That was it for me for WoW. I loved WoW. WoW is near and dear to my wife's heart. It was the first MMO she played. Also, I might have to give a kid up for adoption. Found out when Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween is, and I want to go again. Because the first time we went, we really didn't understand it. And so I said to my kid, I was like, hey, we're going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. Do you want to go? She's like, I'll have to think about it. You have to think about going to Disney World? Who the fuck are you? Who are you? What'd you do to my daughter? She's like, I just don't know if I'll be okay on the drive. The fuck do you mean you don't know if you'll be okay on the drive? Ain't like you drive the shit. You're a backseat princess. You wake up and you say, I need a drink, so we stop. You wake up and say, I gotta go pee, so we stop. What's this shit? I'm the fucker who's driving at 3:30 in the morning. I'm the guy who drives until we get to the one particular Cracker Barrel. Then it's like we drive from 3:30 in the morning till about 9 or 9:30. And then we get out of the car, we get gas. We get Cracker Barrel. And then they all go back into the car, and they go into their food coma for another several hours. And then they're like, I love my family. I love them to death. It'll be like, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They've all been asleep for like 9 of the last 11 hours, and they'll be like, can we stop and stretch? Stretch, you've been sleeping this whole time. Ain't like you've been driving. I will say EverQuest, the first EverQuest was a great game, but the group of people that I was playing with moved to Final Fantasy XI. I really liked Final Fantasy XI. I really, really did. I thought EverQuest 2 was very well done. I also thought that not the game itself, but I thought the class system of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, not A Realm Reborn, I thought the class system was better. I thought the class system was absolutely amazing. Getting X number of job points, it was almost like they were using the Final Fantasy tactics. But the problem is, gamers don't want to try new shit. So we're stuck with the same old. Because I am tired of seeing in communities when games are like, well, all they have to do is copy WoW. No, if you want a copy of WoW, go play WoW. It's still available. And I'm not saying WoW doesn't have some good features, but stop saying that you want games to be WoW clones. We need to take the best parts of WoW, cut out the bad parts of WoW, iterate, right? Come up with some new ideas, some better ideas. Like, there's some people that talk about there shouldn't be any instanced content in MMORPGs. Okay, you're just stupid. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Instanced content, not every single thing needs to be open world content. If you're going to talk about, well, then dungeons never have PvP in them. You don't need a dungeon to be open world to have PvP. You can have instance dungeons and have PvP. Where Winds Meet pulled this off quite well. Corporations don't want to take risk over known cookie cutter formulas. It's up to indies to take the risk. But thanks to people like Steven, indies are going to have a hard sell to pitch. Yeah, it's up to indies to take the risk. You're absolutely right on that. And you're absolutely right that thanks to people like Steven, indie developers are going to have a hard time getting funding. They're going to have, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to build a very minimal core viable product. But they're going to have to build it with the idea that they're going to expand. If they don't do that, then I don't think an indie company like Eternal Tombs is a great idea. I think the way they're doing it is absolutely perfect. They're building something. They don't have a huge art department. They're not burning through a massive budget trying to make the game look good. They've said we're working on mechanics because we can change art assets later, which I think is the smart play. Buy stuff off the store, make a game with it. If the game becomes popular, if the game is successful, then you can hire an artist to make, you literally hire an artist and say, all right, look, these are the things I'd like you to focus on first. These are the things I'd like you to focus on next. But it's like Ashes did it the other way. They put all their money into art, and they didn't put enough money into substance. But then so much of that was Steven's fault with his mismanagement. You don't leave every single thing in tech debt. You button up systems so that I'm not going to say so they're shippable, but so that they're in a really solid, comfortable state. So that when you double back to them, you're not like, okay, well, this was great, but now we gotta break it all down and build it again. Oh, this one's not the one that it's the zone anymore. Just to that particular one, the weapons I have don't really, the P90 is not exactly great in there. The combo crate stroll is now available in the shop. Transform into a cheerful balloon and spread the fun. The first draw costs only 20 Christian, and with a chance to win the grand prize right away. Okay, I'll fall for it. I'll spend the 20. Oh, yay. I got a weapon charm. I think the shift over the last 20 years is how do we make a high value product has shifted into how do we make this idea into a fun game. All right, becomes the death spiral of gaming rather than how do we make this into a... Well, I think really what has happened is, like most things, people don't like me because I put the blame where it really needs to be. And where the blame really needs to be is on the consumer. If a game is terrible, don't buy it. Vote with your wallet. And what's happening is players are opening their wallet and buying shit for really high prices. As opposed to saying, you know what, just gonna take a pass on it. Like, and this is really where I've been studying the psychology of people. There are literally people that are still supporting Steven, even after all... Like, I'm not saying everything that went wrong at Intrepid is Steven's fault. There's a lot of it that's not his fault. But, ready? The very fact that as the CEO, he's not taking ownership of his bad calls. But there's still people saying, oh, I have faith in Steven, I have faith in Ashes, this... Shut the fuck up. You're the reason why all those sycophants is why gaming sucks. That Discord, the only people that should be left on that Discord are haters. And I'm sorry to say that, but like Disney 10 years ago had a plan where they were going to double the price. In 10 years, they were going to double the price of a Disney park ticket with the idea that they would cut their attendance in half. Because if you double your price and reduce your attendance by half, you're making the same amount of money with the goal that you would make the experience more enjoyable for those who do come. What Disney was trying to do was make the same amount of money and just have a hell of a lot less complaints. Well, Disney doubled their price. And yet, they only lost about 30% of their visitors. Well, why the fuck would Disney change anything then? If Disney is going to double their price and only lose 30% of their visitors, Disney's like, cool, free money. Now, I go to Disney because they give the military members a really great ticket. This year, they gave the military members a season pass for $500. And because Disney knows the hardships people are going through, and keep in mind, yes, I'm a Disney shareholder, so I have a vested interest in talking up Disney. But Disney wants to sell hotel rooms. So what are they doing? Lowering the price of hotel rooms. Why? Because they figured out their hotel rooms are too damn expensive. It's not rocket science. We can't fill our hotel rooms. Let's make them cheaper. Video game companies aren't going to spend $300 million making a game if they can spend $120 million making the same game. They're simply not. They're simply not going to do that. If people are going, if putting another 180 million in the game isn't going to produce triple the sales, then they'll be like, okay, we'll take the sales that we get, and we won't sweat it. And it's, I think, the same with game companies. I just hope that some studio looks at what attracted people towards Ashes of Creation, takes as much as they can make work, so they can make a game with some of the ideas they had. I agree with you, but here's the trick with that. Steven wasn't original with any of his ideas, so that's the good thing. Nothing Steven came up with was originally organically his. So I think the good thing is his laying the groundwork for Ashes of Creation may have shown some game companies there is a market for a game that has all those components. New World showed it, right? New World showed that there was a market for a game with open world PvP with zone control and governors and buildable towns and this, that, the other. That's the hope I have. Ashes of Creation was a great, and New World combined were great pieces of market research. It lets companies know there is a market here. Now the trick is there a company out there that can capitalize on that? And I hope there is. I hope there's a company out there that's willing to risk it and say, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna take a risk on it. Oh shit. That flow regulator walked up the side. Good. At least we didn't have to go find another developer and kick him in the balls. I think those games are too costly to build and maintain at this point. It's a massive risk even for the largest studios. It can be. Yeah, absolutely. An MMORPG is one of the most costly endeavors a company can undertake. You're absolutely right on that. The only ones that survive any amount of time are the Asian gacha MMOs, and even they struggle to maintain players. Just look at the flop Lost Ark was in the Western market. Yeah, that is very, very true to remember. Gacha games are, well, right now with the economy and the state that it's in, and gamers being, if we're just completely honest, gamers aren't exactly individuals with the largest disposable incomes. Gamers are gravitating now more, well, first of all, gamers are starting to gravitate back towards consoles. Yeah, you can't reload. They need to fix that again. That same bug is back. I think you're absolutely right. That's one of the places I think Jake's song was absolutely right, but may have gotten himself in too much hot water. What he said is Korean game manufacturers need to stop looking at the Western audience as what you do with the game after you launch it in Korea, and games have to start being made organically with the Western audience in mind. He said because the Western audience doesn't do games the way we do games. And he's absolutely right about that. We don't have internet cafes. So we don't have the internet cafe specials. So like in ArcAge, when they first released the new weapons, the new dungeon, if you spent 10 hours gaming in an internet cafe, you got one of the new weapons at Legendary just for gaming in the internet cafe. Well, that's a huge shift for the Western audience who doesn't get that. So I think that is one place where it's different. Also, mobile games in Asia, China especially, are huge because they have long mass transit commutes. So they play mobile games because lots of them have nothing else to do on the... I mean, of course they could read, but... Oh shit, around the corner. Know what I'm saying? So, you have to know your audience. I only cover mobile games when they sponsor me, and the minimum payout is significant enough to make a donation to like Extra Life. Like I did Void Pet Dungeon. They want to sponsor me and I can take that money and give it to Extra Life for Kids. I'm more than happy to do that because it is what it is. I think kids deserve every dollar we can get. That's why I said I would love to be making like Hassan money. If I was making Hassan money, I would be buying people houses. Like if I was making Hassan money, there's about 70 acres of land up for sale near me. I would buy it and I would be putting boxables on it. I would work with the Boxable company and I would be mapping it out and putting boxables up on 70 acres. And I wouldn't do it where like you have a garage and shit. I would do like little cul-de-sacs of housing so that we can fit more houses there. I have no problem exploiting the shit out of mobile gaming sponsorships to try to do good in the world. But mobile gaming is now responsible for 50% of all gaming money. And I know some people don't like that statistic because they're like, well, that's grandma playing Candy Crush. Look, man, gaming company doesn't give a shit who's swiping their credit card. They give a shit that somebody is swiping their credit card. That's all they care about. They care about making money. They care about the bottom line. That's why mobile gaming has such an interesting dynamic to it, because you have a game like Plague Incorporated. Plague Incorporated, $4.99, and you never have to deal with ads. Well, that's a good deal, right? It's a one-time purchase of $4.99, and now you can play the game and never deal with the ads, never deal with the banner, never deal with the shit. Well, if you think about it, yeah, the dog is walking me, right? $4.99 isn't a bad deal if you like the game. Like, I liked Plague Inc. for a long period of time because I was on night shift and there was literally nothing to do. And when I say nothing to do, there was nothing to do. Yeah, I'm gonna try to clear the room so that there's not as much shit. Fuck. Okay, now. Oh, he has his normal attacks too? Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought he owned... Okay. Okay, I thought he only had the fucking beam attack. I didn't realize he had the balloon attack as well. That's the piece I'd never seen. Because one of us is always fucking dead. That developer's gonna kick right to the nuts. But yeah, I was on night shift, and there was... When I say there was nothing going on, I was on night shift, and we didn't even have any... we had 0 flights scheduled from 10 o'clock at night till 6:30 in the morning. None. We weren't the primary base, we weren't the secondary base, we weren't the tertiary base. But I was on night shift, I had to be on station. Well, Plague Inc. was, you know, $4.99. I played that probably for fucking 4 weeks straight. And that's the microtransaction thing. You don't notice it as much. You should, but you don't. Like that was like the one guy. He was in my guild in Arcage, and he realized at the end of the month he had spent like $700 or $800 on Arcage. He was like, I don't even know how the hell I spent that much. So yeah, it's easy to do when, you know, you're dropping 20 bucks here, 20 bucks there, 20 bucks there. You know, you're like, I'm gonna buy one more regrade package, hoping to finish off my kit, and it doesn't go, and you're like, okay, I'll stop after this. It's gambling. And it's why I understand why several countries want to be done with microtransactions entirely. But it's like what Belgium did. What Belgium do? Belgium banned RNG boxes. So what EA do? Still lets you buy the game, but you can't buy the still lets you buy FIFA, but you can't buy the booster packs. And then what was it that the shooter game just did? The X-ray goggle thing that I only vaguely understand. You you get the box, use your X-ray goggles, you see if you want the item. If you don't want the item, you don't have to open the box, but until you open the box, you can't get another one. So it complies with the letter of the law, but it really doesn't help the player. It's really not advantageous to the player, who's now like, well, great. So I didn't get stuck buying a box that gave me shit I didn't want, but I can't get anything else. Fun to watch governments make laws like that and see how inventive companies get around it. Yeah. It's like I love the scene in Gangs of New York where they're trying to have illegal boxing, and he's like, "Where does the city end?" And then they're on a floating barge boxing because the city ends right there. Why are you harassing me? You've been harassing me all day. You woke me up at 4 in the morning. This is a domestic terrorist. No, you can't go over there. You can't go on that shoulder. I'm sorry, you can't. I know. You see something on my shoulder and you don't like it. Sorry. No, we're not doing... No, go on. We're not doing that today. She's like, I'm gonna mess with your shoulder, Dad. The shoulder that really hurts. Nope. Ah. So it takes us just about an hour to do those. Probably a little bit shorter if I had everything ready. And that's it. Unfortunately, right now, unless you really love doing the hourly event and being a victim of RNG. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. I didn't feel a thing. Do it again. That was like, I had just had my shoulder surgery. It was 2016. I had just had my shoulder surgery. I don't know where my wife had to be. I think my wife had an appointment and she had to be like drugged. So my wife's caregiver was with her. Our nanny was with her. Because my wife, I don't remember all the specifics. All I know is that they asked me if I would be fine home alone with my daughter. And I was like, yeah, I'm a dad. I'll be okay. They're like, well, we can take the baby with us. And I was like, no, the baby can stay home with me. I'll be fine. Of course, my baby decided while on the changing table, that's going to be the day she's going to try to take a header off the baby, the changing table. I had just had my surgery. And she ended up tearing most of my muscle off of my surgical anchor. Holy shit. Was that some pain of just an obscene level? Like, holy fuck. Is there a game where pay-to-win players have their purchases have a positive effect on the economy that benefit the free-to-play players? No. Not that I've ever been able to think of. Because remember, if a game is selling power, then the free-to-play players, you're the content. And that's one of the things that people don't they don't comprehend. If a game company is selling power, those who don't buy the power are the content. You're not a player in their eyes. Remember, you're not a customer because you're not spending any money. In order for you to be considered a customer, you have to be buying stuff. It's like it's like the thing I say to people. I see streamers all the time, new creators all the time. They're trying to get people to follow them. Who gives a shit about subscribers? Who gives a shit? Why are you worried about subscribers? Don't be worried about subscribers. Don't be worried about subscribers at all. Be worried about viewers. And the reason why you want to be worried about viewers is subscribers, followers on YouTube, subscribers, on Twitch, followers, on Kick, followers. They don't matter. They literally do not matter. Unfortunately, game companies will look at your follower number and say, oh yeah, let's do that. New World had 930, just shy of 1 million players at launch on Steam. Well, all of those people had bought the game. So Amazon should have cared about all those people because they all bought the game. But in a box price game, the company doesn't give a shit about you. Why? You already bought the box. You've already bought the box. They just need to make sure that you like it enough that you don't charge it back. The companies will view bot streamers as well to hype their games. I have heard that there has been some proof of that. Companies will view bot their sponsored streamers to bump their numbers. It's a shitty thing. It hurts the whole industry. But it does bump their game up, and if it bumps their game up, it gets other streamers playing their game. And it's cheaper to view bot 1 or 2 streamers than it is to sponsor 50 streamers. Because remember, if you can get one big name streamer to cover a game, it bumps that game's numbers, which means lots of other smaller streamers flock to it. It's a very interesting dynamic when it comes to content creators. Content creators, the big ones, don't need to have loyalty to a game because they're their own brand. Asmongold, Ninja, Shroud, Summit, Anti-Munition, Burnt Peanut. They're all their own brands. They don't need to sign deals to pay their rent. So they're almost not worth it to pay. Yeah, smaller streamers try to scavenge viewers from high count titles. Absolutely. Like the one day, I was just minding my own fucking business, right? I'm playing Where Winds Meet. I look over, and I'm streaming to 1,100 people. And I got so much hate that day, and I told some people that they could go fuck themselves, because they're like, you never stream to 1,100 people. And I was like, so you're accusing me of view-botting that day? And half a dozen people PM'd me on Discord like, yeah, you must have been view-botting. Hey, dick, I was featured on the front page. Could that have anything to do with it? That I was on the front page? Well, why were you on the front page? Because I was picked by Twitch to do a sponsorship. So is there any other explanation? First of all, if you look back through Twitch tracker, it's not the first time I've ever hit 1,100 people. But yeah, I was on the front page of Twitch when I was playing Where Winds Meet. So everybody on the front page who's there, they count as a viewer for me. Now, obviously, that didn't convert into anything, but people jump to so many conclusions. Twitch isn't doing a great job of helping their platform. I don't think Twitch knows how to do a great job to help their I truly do not believe Twitch knows how to help their platform. Well, both players are part of the healthy ecosystem. Free to play are the masses and pay to win are the cash. It would make sense for me to make a system where everybody get what they want out of it. Here's the problem. You say it would make sense if everybody gets something out of it. If everybody's getting something out of it, why am I spending cash with you? That's where the rub is. Unfortunately, they can't afford to cater to the non-buyers, because then the buyers won't buy. Yeah, that's the problem with Twitch, though. They will put front page, but then they'll say, "Hey, it was us, Twitch, who did this, not the streamer." Right? You just gotta hope that what each audience wants to get out of it is different. Yeah, that's the thing. Where you solve that problem, by not. Okay. To break this down into a really, unfortunately, somewhat complex discussion. Unfortunately, we the gamers are responsible for why games suck. And the reason why we're responsible is because we say we want good games, and so we say, game developers, give us good games. And game developers say, okay, we're going to give you good games. But then we turn around and say, and we want those games to be free to play. And the game developers say, okay, they're free to play, but we got to have some level of monetization. So we say, cool. We accept that. Did you know that the people who spend money on a game with microtransactions end up spending more money than they would if there was a box price and a monthly sub? And they're carrying all the people who aren't paying anything. So the game company says, if we have a box price, we'll only get 50,000 players. If we have a box price and a sub, we'll only get 50,000 players. But if we make it free to play, we'll get 250,000 players. But 50,000 of those players will spend money, and they'll spend more than the box price and the sub in the first year. And now that we've gotten 250,000 players, we have other means of monetization that we might get $1 out of some of those other players. Right, but what you're saying is, think about what you're saying. You're saying, obviously the pay to win would have the advantage, but if he plays less than the free to play, he could end up losing his advantage. Then he's not going to swipe. And then you're not making any money. See, you're looking at it from a player point of view. Stop that. If you're trying to solve the problem of the money value, you got to put both your feet in the money box. You're trying to put your feet in the player box and solve the money problem. Don't put your feet in the money. Don't put your feet in the player box and solve the money problem. Don't put your feet in the money box and solve the player problem. You have to put yourself in the right box to solve the problem you're trying to solve. It would be great if every game was free to play and had no pay to win. That would be awesome. It would be amazing if every game could be free to play and have cosmetic cash shops like Once Human does, like League of Legends does. No pay to win advantage, only cosmetics. So why don't more games do it? Because it's a risky proposition. Why do game companies like WoW or Blizzard and Square Enix with WoW and Final Fantasy, why do they have all three versions of monetization? Why do they have box price, monthly sub, and cash shop? Well, because the box price eliminates the initial investment. It might not eliminate 100% of it, but it eliminates a really big fucking part of it. WoW sells 5 million what? Okay, so WoW says they sell 5.2 million copies pre-sales, and we'll say that's at 49. Well, we'll say that's at $59.99 average, right? Well, it's $311 million. Well, if the way it falls out, you got collector's editions, you got this, you got that, you got the other. If the expansion costs them $250 to make, and they make $311, they've made a profit. So that's why it takes the risk away. Some people value their time differently and prefer to pay and not grind. It's already something that's done. Right, and I'm not saying it's not something that's already done. But I'm gonna point you to a game like ArcAge. You could stay competitive in ArcAge if you did your grinding, or you could be competitive if you swiped. But ArcAge is gone now. Why? Because they didn't have enough people paying. A lot of people turn into a lot of people don't want to include all the facts. There's only a handful of games that pull it off. Path of Exile and Warframe. Yeah, but Path of Exile does, but Path of Exile 2 has a buy-in price right now. So that's how the company is able to move along with it. And by the way, Path of Exile doesn't do just... Path of Exile is really important to point out. They don't do just cosmetics. Path of Exile sells backpack space or storage space, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst things you can sell if you want to be a company with integrity. Backpack space is the textbook definition of selling the solution to a problem you created. Because you could have designed that game to not have as much shit to store, but you chose to have that much shit to store so that people need storage space. MMOs are costly. Other games could be more relevant. Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. What do you mean, other games? Other games are different, are completely different models. So, like, single player games should never be free to play. Because how are you gonna monetize those? If you tell me that I gotta have microtransactions in a single player game, that's a single player game I will never play. I will never play a single player game with microtransactions. Like, my Crusader Kings 3 account. I had an account that they just kept putting all of the all of the expansion packs on. I don't know why the fuck they were doing it. They just kept doing it. So I have all, like, the original... I think I have, like, the first 2.5, 3 years of cosmetic packs. Then I was getting them through Hoovit. And then they stopped... Hoovit went out of business. And then they stopped... But I hadn't been putting in keys. They were just giving me the shit. And then, I said, well, I'm not buying that shit. I don't need your building cosmetics. I understand you're selling them to make money, but you should just include that shit in the next DLC you put in. I'm not buying art assets for a single player game or even a multiplayer game. I'm not doing that. Now, if there was a CK3 MMORPG, I might be more inclined to buy cosmetics. Yeah, it's creating the virus and selling the cure. Yeah, I will never... If there is a single-player game that has microtransactions, I will absolutely never ever play that game. Because I'm not paying microtransaction fees for a single player game. PoE was notorious for the practice of new league specific stash tabs for sale. It was an artificial DLC cost. Yeah, and it's when you have an artificial DLC cost, it's because you're not making enough money. You need to bridge the gap. So you're filling in the blanks the best you can. And I'm not against companies making money. I'm against companies making money in dastardly, dirty ways that they shouldn't have to. And bad monetization is, I mean, bad monetization is bad monetization, no matter which way you slice it. It's just bad monetization. We don't need to make excuses for it. I don't care if it's your favorite fucking company. Tell them it's bad monetization. They're adults. They can handle it. Well, if I tell them it's bad monetization, they might stop making games. You're right, they might. Or what they might do is they might start hearing from people, hey, we need to change how we do business, because our consumer base is getting pissed off at us. What's your take on paying for additional character slots alts? It's a great question. It depends on why I need additional character slots or alts. My preference in a game that has classes is being able to multi-class on one character. And that's just my preference because I don't want to have to do all of the horizontal development, because I like being able to have, because I'm notoriously a guild leader. So I like to be able to have a tank, a healer, and a damage dealer, so that if the outside of my static, if my guild members need something and I'm home and I'm free, I like to be able to be like, okay, I can jump in and do that. That becomes increasingly exponentially harder when I have to level 3 different characters through everything. If we're having to have alts as mules for storage, then we're once again selling the solution to the problem we created, and I don't like that. I think that's crap. I think that in some ways, depending on the game, there should only be one character permitted per server. Again, depending on the game. If it's a faction-based game, you should only be allowed to have one character per server. Unfortunately, as we know, some people that want to cheat are going to cheat no matter what you do. So they're going to just, if you tell them they can only have one character per server on the account, then they'll just turn around and make a whole nother account. But that is what it is. There's no way to stop that. I had an idea for an RPG where you could permanently lose your characters. You would have various ways to get new characters, with one of them being by purchase. Take that idea. Ready? Take that idea. Take that whole idea. Chuck it in the fuck it bucket. As a marketing guy, take that idea. Chuck that whole idea. Chuck it in the fuck it bucket. If I have to pay, if I buy the RPG and then I have to buy a new character, I'm not fucking buying that game. The moment I hear about this game, no, I don't give a fuck if the game is free to play. If I have to buy a character, if I can lose my character permanently, okay, hold on. So I can break this down. Okay, so we're gonna take all of gaming marketing right here. So this is the entirety. No. Because what you said is, the way you pitched it, you said you would have various ways to get new characters, with one of them by purchase. That's all I need to hear. I'm gonna talk shit about your game. So here is all of gaming, right? Here is all of the gamers in the world. And you're already only gonna be able to get this little teeny tiny, which I'll say is maybe at most 10% of the market. Your first cut, because I always say, what's your first cut? Your first cut is your game has permadeath. Your first cut takes you down to 10% of the gaming market. Your game is automatically not going to be viewed or loved by millions. Your game is at best going to be loved by tens of thousands. You've set your ceiling with permadeath at tens of thousands. And now, and yes, I know I'm overestimating it at 10% for permadeath. I'm deliberately overestimating because I say 10%, I don't have to quibble. If I give the real number, probably 4%, I have to quibble. I have to deal with quibbling. 10%, I'm being generous. Now, immediately people are going to hear the stink of you have permadeath but we'll sell you a new character. Right off the bat, you just lost half. And you're going to say, well, that's not really what I meant. It's not what you mean, it's what you hear. You have permadeath and you sell characters. You're now down to, at best, on the best you can hope for, is 5% of the gaming market. 5%. Either don't have permadeath, have a death penalty. Well, there's less competition in those 5%. No. There's all the competition in that 5%. That 5% of people aren't only looking for that. That 5% of people are the people that are willing to play that. That 5% corner of the box are the people that are willing to play that, but they're also willing to play League, Battlefield, Helldivers, Call of Duty, Crusader Kings, Stellaris, Once Human, Final Fantasy, WoW, WoW Classic, WoW Hardcore. I'm not saying that you have an exclusive game that caters to those 5% and you're the only one catering to that 5%. I'm saying out of all the millions of gamers worldwide, only 5% of them will even look at your game. You're this sad donut in the back of the case that everybody else looks past, but there's still 3 full shelves of beautiful donuts with sprinkles and glaze and chocolate and drizzle and custard filling. Some of you are thinking some wrong stuff. Yeah, that 5% of the market also meets the genre. High fantasy, sci-fi. Like, there's lots of other games that appeal to that 5%. Now, could you make a hardcore game that's free to play with permadeath? Sure. You could. You absolutely could. But you have to decide then. Well, I'm looking for a game like that. You're looking for a game like that. You're looking for a game like that. There's not very many people like you. Because you can go look at like, lots of people wanted to play hardcore Diablo 4 to be on the monument. And now hardcore Diablo 4 is, now that there's not an external cookie for it, it's not as popular. Why would anyone look for a game like that? Some people want the challenge. I tried to do a hardcore Diablo 4 run. You had to get to level 100 without dying, and you had to, whatever level you had to get to without dying. And you had to be one of the first 100 people to do it. I died, and I was done. It would be intriguing, but I'm not sure how sticky I would be when the consequences hit. That's the other piece. You're going to lose half your people as soon as they hear because what you're going to deal with is people are going to hear, wait a minute, you have hardcore death, permadeath, and you're selling character slots. People are going to be like, fuck off. And then you're going to get an awful lot of people. This is the same thing I said about Ashes of Creation. And I talked to people about this for 4 years with Ashes. Your node gets destroyed. And Steven Sharif's belief His honest belief, he honestly believed this. He believed that the majority of his players would lose their home node, right? And keep playing. And what I tried to articulate was there's an awful lot of people who have said, I would play Ashes, but when I lose my node, that would be it. I'm done. I wouldn't play past that point. You could flee while in battle. Yeah, but what you're doing right now, watch what you're doing. You've been confronted with the reality that what you're offering isn't palatable, and now you're trying to over-explain to make it palatable. That's a really bad position to try to be selling from. Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to say, okay, I've been confronted with the reality that what I want to build might not be as popular. Because remember, I have a video on my Jalan channel. You need, before you start a business, you need 3 things. You need a marketing person to tell you if you have even a market for your product. You need a lawyer. You need a lawyer to tell you, is it legal? And an accountant to tell you how you're going to pay for it. Right now, you're at the marketing stage that says this ain't going to work. Now, mobile game, now you're looking at, okay, holy shit. Maybe for a mobile game, and now you don't make it free. Now maybe you make it free on mobile, but mobile players are okay with throwing you a quarter. Okay, so now we're going to make a mobile game, and we're going to get data from the mobile game. What's my overhead cost going to be if I make this game on mobile? A lot lower, infinitely lower. And all I'm going to do is they're going to have the ability to watch a bunch of fucking ads to get another character or pay a quarter. They'll pay the quarter. A lot of people will pay the quarter. Because people see a quarter as insignificant. So now maybe you're looking at something that works. But even then, you have to ask yourself the question, why do you want permadeath? The why, the 5 whys. Pull out your CPI book. Why do I want permadeath? So get a sheet of paper out and say, right at the top of the sheet of paper, why do I want permadeath? And write your answer. And then under that answer, say, well, why do I want that? And then write your answer. And why do I want that? If you get down 5 why levels, you're probably solid. If you can't do 5 why levels, you're lacking. Why did I start PGN Music? Because I was tired of getting copyright strikes for music. Well, why do you use music? Well, because I breathe like a fucking dragon. Well, why do you breathe like a dragon? Because I have sleep apnea, I have asthma, I have bad lungs, and I can't make my audio any cleaner. Well, why can't you make your audio any cleaner? Because see above, I breathe like a fucking dragon, and if I play a little bit of music, it helps smooth that out. Oh. But what does that have to do with starting your own record label? Because I was tired of getting copyright claims. Makes perfect sense. Start your own record label. Notice that my why wasn't because I wanted to get rich. If my why was I wanted to get rich, I'm doing the wrong fucking thing. No, it's good. The thing is that you don't want to surround yourself with a bunch of people that pat you on the back and say your idea is great. That shit's easy. Surround yourself with a bunch of people that are going to tell you your idea sucks. Because when you run the gauntlet of this idea sucks, and you beat that gauntlet, what you will have done is I tell you right here, right now off the bat, you've got that bottom 5% of the corner. And now you start challenging your own mentality. Now you're going to build that out. And by the time you think about it, you're like, well, maybe I don't need permadeath. EVE Online doesn't have permadeath. You'll never go back. You'll never lose all your skill points. Ooh, hold on. Maybe you borrow from EVE Online in some form or fashion. And watch. Okay, so watch this. No, so yeah, the meaning of being careful, adrenaline to lose, the means of planning ahead, having builds that match the trait. Right. So now you think of it this way. EVE Online has clones. And if you're in the right clone, when you die, you don't lose any skill points. But if you're in the wrong clone, you actually lose stuff. So what if instead of permadeath, what if you focused on soul anchors, tethers? Permadeath is player retention. Player retention for players' base growth. Player-based growth for additional marketing via word of mouth. Word of mouth for stronger player cohesion. Player death is player retention. No, because permadeath is not player retention. Permadeath is potential player loss. I would challenge you on the top one. Permadeath is... A game with permadeath doesn't mean you have player retention. A game with permadeath means every death is potentially a player lost. Because remember, we're not in the late 90s, early 2000s where there's only about 21, 22 online games. When a player dies in a game now, you're not guaranteed to get them back because they have 1,500 other options. What is equally likely to happen is that player just pieces the fuck out. Yeah, you won't play a permanent... 6 foot won't play a permanent death game to begin with. If it's strung upon you, then you'll quit right there. Permadeath will weed out a lot of characters. That's undisputable. Right, and that's the piece right now we're looking at. How do we keep the idea of permadeath but not have it be permadeath? We want to have this idea that looks like permadeath, smells like permadeath, but doesn't taste like permadeath. Doesn't leave that bitter aftertaste. How do we piece that together? So we start talking about soul anchors, soul crystals, soul tethers. If I don't... Oh, and then we start thinking to ourselves, hold on. What if you combine that in with the... What if you lose stats? If you lose horribly? There's something you could play with. Give you the same risk without just an artificial permadeath. Yeah, exactly. Maybe you have a death penalty. Right, now you start cooking. See, we don't want to make it so that, like, I can die in once human, and the worst thing that happens is I take some gear durability loss. Who gives a shit? I lose some gear. I lose some durability on my gear. I've been on this server for over a fucking year. Who gives a shit? I can repair my gear 500 times. Who gives a shit about durability loss? Which is why I've always said one of the things that has to happen if you want a good, meaningful game is that gear should lose permanent repairability every time you repair it. Gear starts with 10,000 permanent durability. After you repair it, your gear has 100% current durability and 10,000 overall repairability. Yeah, you start talking about things exactly like you said. I have to run back to my body, or my gear is lost. Maybe I have to run back. Maybe when I die, some of my experience is lost, some of my abilities are lost, some of my skills are lost. But the idea of permadeath, I don't think the modern gamers are hardcore enough to deal with permadeath. Yeah, you're standing in the shoes of the person, permadeath game idea. But remember, your why has to stand up to scrutiny. I think permadeath is a really dangerous place to try to be going in today's gaming market. Yeah, not with 40 other games releasing every month. And unfortunately, yeah, I've got better things to do than I've got better things to do than lose 100 hours of progress due to a lag spike. I got better things to do than lose 100 hours of progress due to a storm. The other night I was gaming and my power went out. And I was like, oh shit. And I literally thought I had fried my system. Because you all know, all you gamers, you know this. You want your power to go out completely. You want your power to be fucking dead. Brown bread. You do not want that moment where, like, your monitors flicker, your PC browns out, and your house lights flickered for just a second. That's the death notice for your power supply. Your power supply is like, oh fuck. Like, you're like, oh shit. So you get up and you're like, please don't be fucked up. You don't even like it when your XCOM 2 characters die. Right. When I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics, I'll restart a map if one of my characters turns into a crystal. That I know people. It's that horrible thing that I do. I'm Jalan, the crusher of hopes and dreams. But you're same for you. You all make it home. What was I just playing? I was just playing Warhammer 40K Chaos Gate. Demon Hunters, and I was on the last fight, and it was my third time playing through the last fight, and the last fight was being an absolute bugger to me, and my tech marine got thrown off of a ledge, and I was just about to win the fight, and I was like, nah. I was like, he died honorably. He's a Grey Knight. We'll put him in the halls of memory. I'm not restarting this shit again. I think permadeath can be good for players. It requires a lot of heavy framing, though re-gearing and recovering has to be possible without a grind, yet punishing as a consequence. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. Okay? Here's the trick. I don't disagree with you. But it's not gonna work for a game that's not a one-time buy. It can't be, it has to be a one-time buy game. It's not gonna work for an online game because the players aren't gonna tolerate it. We're a different era now. We're a different era of gamer. Back in the late 90s, the early 2000s, gamers were a different breed. Now, shit, man. Gamers in the old days, we used to say horrific shit to each other. And nobody said anything about it. And nowadays, people are reporting you for teabagging. All right? Can we just piece all that together? Players are reporting for teabagging. We've lost it. We've lost it. So the idea was your account with one main character and two others. The main is one life for your account. You can build up to 10 life characters in the style of a family. Out of family characters have vertical growth, so less pain to loss. You have the option of getting new characters by baby in the family, make prisoners from other factions, buying characters by cash in tavern. Again, I don't think the idea is bad. Okay? I don't think the idea is bad. If by cash in a tavern you mean real world cash, then you've got a problem. If you mean in-game cash, different story. Where I think you have the problem is you're dealing with permadeath. You're dealing with permadeath in and of itself. And permadeath in and of itself is always going to be rough. And here's why. If I have my choice, and I'll give it to you, I'm just going to use me as an example. I don't mind permadeath games. I agree with everything people have said. I think permadeath requires you to be surgical in your gameplay. It requires you to be methodical, calculating, like it ups your gameplay. But this, I play Once Human. Once Human is my primary online game I'm playing right now. If there was permadeath in Once Human, because I've been playing it for 2 years, I would have walked away from it already, because there's other games I can be playing. I think what is missing from today's games, the game's Second Life. Second Life is so appropriately named because that's what you want your MMO to be. You want your MMO, you want your online game to literally be a second existence. If you're gonna design a game, if you're gonna design an MMORPG, you want to watch 3 movies, really. Ready Player One, Gamer, and Surrogates. And the reason why is, you need to make your game so that the game is an extension of the person's existence. If I have other games I can go play, right? The moment I die, I'm not going to be as interested in playing the game because I have other things I can go do. And if the game is too much ass pain, then that's it. Now, your game more lends itself to a box price because you want the person to have an investment into the game. But yeah, if I die and because remember, there's going to be people that die and then almost instantly are like, well, fuck, this is terrible. And then, so my challenge back to you would be, how are you going to sell people that, how are you going to sell the people that have this encounter? They log in, they're new to the game, they die, they log out, and they start shit talking the game. Yeah, it sounds more like an arcade game than an MMO. It sounds more like a single player game than an MMO. And so that's where I think you're going to run into the problem. You're already lining yourself up to have an awful lot of people hate this. Now, maybe, truthfully, maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to Field of Dreams this shit. And I would say bravo if you want to Field of Dreams this shit. If you build it, they will come. If you want to Field of Dreams this shit, do it. But just realize you are starting off way behind the 8 ball. I'm an old head gamer. I have multiple games I could go to, and I still get stuck back into Escape from Tarkov. Well, then Escape from Tarkov is your heroine. See, Crusader Kings 3 is my heroine. That's where I'll be later today. See, I was in Once Human's content creator program, and I was getting paid to stream. And then they changed their content creator program, so they stopped paying me to stream. I just forced myself to do at least one video game stream a week. Although, in conjunction with my doctors, I'm probably going to have to switch up my streaming schedule. I'm going to keep my current streaming schedule until I go on vacation. And then when I get back from vacation, I think I'm going to have to... right now, I'm scheduled to stream 5 days a week. I think I'm going to have to change that. Because as it is right now, they took me off my medication. One of my medications, because it's no longer working. Also, on top of everything the fuck else I have going on, it looks like I'm finally going diabetic. It's like I spent the last 2 years eating healthy and shit, and now my body's like, nope, sorry, just kidding. All that hard work you did losing weight, nah, I'm gonna go diabetic on you. Like, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, body, I hate you. But I'm going to enjoy my vacation. I'm taking both of my younger daughters to Disney. It's the first time my 20-year-old will be at Disney with the family in 5 years. She's finally healthy enough to travel with us. Gonna have to make sure I'm gonna have to keep her really hydrated. She's very susceptible to heat sickness. So this particular trip is gonna cost me more than my normal ones because I have a lot of sit-down meals planned. But yeah, Gim, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm trying to make sure that I put all the roadblocks in. I'm the no man. I'm the yeah but guy. I'm trying to make sure that everything is put in front of you so that you're like, okay, I gotta put this another pass. I gotta do another pass. I gotta do another pass. Another pass. Like, at the end of the day, I want to see people succeed, but what is killing me? Yeah, I think you need to sit down with a cup of coffee and say to yourself, I think your biggest piece to look at is, I think you could sell the idea. The fucking googly eyes kills me. I think you could sell the idea of buying characters. Oh shit, you know, I think you could look at You might want to look at Chronicles of Illyria and their original. Oh, you're shooting me in the ass, you little bastard. You might want to look at Chronicles of Illyria and their original system, because their system had aging and death. That might work. And that might work a little better, because every time you die, and look at Crusader Kings 3, their most recent age affliction patch, and that might give you a little bit better of a direction. Instead of permadeath, what you have is every time you're killed, quote, killed, like we're used to in video games, you age. I think that's going to give you closer to a more palatable solution. So it's not you die, you're dead. It's you die, you age. You die, your bones are more brittle. So the more times you die, and I think there is where you're gonna start to unlock more popularity. You can't just zombie rush shit. You die, you start to develop brittle bones. You die, you start to develop, arthritis. You die, you get put, so you're never actually dying, you're just critically wounded. And so at that point, yeah, or put it in like a Google Doc and shoot me the link to the Google Doc. But I think you're on, I think you're on the start of an idea. I think you have the trappings of an idea. I think that you need to recognize, why aren't other companies doing it this way? Like, why aren't other companies having permadeath? Well, because they know the player base doesn't want it. Well, I want it. Cool. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does it on the harder modes. You die, you take serious injury, and the shit sticks with you. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how do you get to the same result, but by a different road? Like, how do you get the kid to eat their vegetables? Well, you put a little cheese on it. And because you put a little cheese on it, the kid is still getting their vegetables. They're eating the same shit. They just don't realize they're eating it. I think that has to be kind of your end focus. Like, this is the end result I want. How do I get here? Like, I'm not saying change the end focus. I'm saying, you know what your end focus is. How do we get there? It's just like I've said, if I was going to build an MMO, if I was going to build a persistent world game, I would have survival mechanics, but I would have them be optional. I love your Ashes coverage. I appreciate that. A lot of people don't like my Ashes coverage, but that's okay. My Ashes coverage isn't designed for everybody to love. It's designed for the people who want a little bit of objective truth and a little bit of counterweight balancing to what Steven Sharif is putting out. So I'm glad you enjoy it. Ashes hurts my soul, man. Ashes really pisses me off because I burned one of my 2 Twitch teams that I ever get to make as a Twitch partner, making Ashes of Creation the Twitch team, which is actually really quite funny. What's the core gameplay loop for Once Human? The core gameplay loop for Once Human is unfortunately kind of ruined at the moment. It's grind for mods, grind for Starcrom, grind for grind to get stuff so that I can do more stuff is kind of unfortunately what the core gameplay loop is. The nice part about Once Human is that there's like 6 different scenarios. So if you start playing Once Human, and it's totally free to play, that's its big talking point. It's totally free to play. There's no pay to win, there's no pay to advance, there's no pay quality of life. There's literally nothing you can buy in this game to make your life easier. Every time they ask, and I will say this, I truly do believe the few times that there's been shenanigans, I don't think it's been intentional. I think it's been honest oversights. They've instantly fixed it and they've compensated people. I don't believe they ever intentionally meant to try to slide in pay to win. Like the one time they slid in a painting and it says, if you own this cosmetic, and somebody said, well, yeah, but you have to buy that from the cash shop. And they were like, oh yeah, shit, we didn't think about that. We're going to give everybody's going to get the reward, which I thought was fair. It is a halfway decent Lovecraftian horror survival game. Unfortunately, due to people complaining too much, they have kind of toned everything down. So that kind of sucks. I'm really not happy with the fact that they keep making the game easier and easier and easier. I wish they would stop that. Games need to have a little bit of difficulty. If we keep taking all the difficulty out of games, you might as well just let people have cheat codes then. Yeah, I try to do my live streams where I bring information and not just I think, I feel. And also after the nonsense that happened with Ashes of Creation, I'm not going to... well, honestly, because of my health, I don't think I'm going to ever get as detailed with a game again. Steven Sharif really pissed me off with how many content creators he fucked over. He gets mad because he's like, these people turned on me. No, man. Nobody turned on you. You bullshitted people. Like, there's a lot of people who pivoted their content creation careers to focus on Ashes. And then he was he just didn't care. Like, he did what was good for him. And he's just whining about it. Like, I would actually have more respect for Steven if he had come out and said, yeah, I ate DoorDash on the company money. Yeah, because what's going to end up happening is that somebody is going to release information. Like, I can tell you that I've talked to people inside Intrepid, and they've told me that things were left in tech debt. But I can't cite those people, and I wouldn't do that because that puts those people at risk. Like, I can't tell you Bob Smith said this to me because Bob Smith is trying to get a job to feed his family, right? I really want a video visually detailing the timeline of Ashes, and I agree with you. He lived a very high lifestyle while lying to the community. But I am kind of on his side about some stuff. I believe he was threatened by the board and forced to sign stuff. Okay, I'm gonna pop out here. Actually, I'm gonna take a real quick AFK, and then I think I'm gonna switch for just a little bit. So I'm gonna switch topics. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so let me pop out here real quick. And what you said was, I really want to make a video visually detailing the timeline of Ashes, and I agree with you. He lived a very high lifestyle while lying to the community, but I'm kind of on his side about some stuff. I believe he was threatened by the board and forced to sign stuff. When are you ever forced to sign anything? Honestly, when are you ever forced to sign something? Second of all, if somebody forces you to sign something through threats, like the first time you threaten me as a human being, I involve law enforcement because we're adults. And there are real life consequences for the use of violence. So the first time you physically threaten me, I involve law enforcement. I go file a police report. And then if you try to hand me a stack of documents and tell me I have to sign them, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. Especially if there's another staff member in the room, I'm going to just say, can you call the police? Yeah, signing anything under duress makes said contracts null and void. And if somebody is standing there making you sign stuff, then you simply sign. You start signing and then you throw U period D period on them while the person's standing there. You just start putting U period D period, and then you leave and you go to the police. And then when that person tries to do anything with those documents, when you go to the police and you say, I was just forced to sign emotionally pressured. Okay, this is the thing. Steven has claimed he was emotionally pressured. He was physically coerced. He was forced. Jason threatened to break his jaw. Okay. The moment you threaten to break my jaw, I hire a bodyguard. If I'm really a billionaire gamer with millions of dollars, I hire a fucking bodyguard. What's a bodyguard cost? 6 figures? You got a fucking you pay. Oh, but he wasn't paying for his private chef. The company was. Steven's problem with all of this is he pissed away $120 something million of people's money. Right? He pissed away $120 million of people's money. And he was wondering why people were mad and upset. And he didn't just steal from Jason Karamanis and Robert Dawson. He allegedly stole from his brother as well. Like, look, I reached out to him when all of this first came out. What happened is I'd gotten done streaming one day and somebody popped up into my Discord and they said, "Hey, what's your signal?" I gave him my signal. They popped 2 documents into my signal and then they talked to me for a few minutes and then they up and vanished. I contacted Steven and I said, hey, I've been told that you're being physically threatened. And he wouldn't directly answer. The first time I asked him, he evaded the question. I'm a mandated reporter. I don't have a choice. Anybody that knows what a mandated reporter is, if I'm informed of a crime, I must report it. So I reached out to Steven and I said, hey, are you safe? He totally avoided the question. He gave, and I said, great, are you physically safe? And he said, I'm physically safe, but I'm under threat. I took everything that I had, right? And I started doing research. And then employees started talking to me, and other people started to talk to me, and I got other bits and bobs. And I rolled it up and sent it to all the relevant organizations. The Attorney General of California, the IRS, everything. But then a couple of weeks later, the ledger comes out. Right? The ledger comes out. You wonder why people are pissed? You're taking their money and you have a personal chef at the house. You know what's probably going to piss Robert Dawson and Jason Karamanis and the other investors off even worse? The chef said 5 days a week he cooked 3 meals a day for John and Steven didn't eat what the chef cooked. Steven has diabetes. Steven has diabetes. He has no business eating all the fucking junk crap food that he was eating. What Steven did, Steven has this whole fucking narrative, right?
Specific, very documented.
This whole narrative that he was put into the hospital by being stressed, right?
Look at this. How much did you spend on DoorDash for business meetings? And now you need Popeyes? No wonder why you nearly died. Your diet was terrible. Look at this. How much did you spend?
Holy shit, man. This is one day. How much did you spend in DoorDash? In 2 days. The ledger had me rolling. It's still not totally confirmed that it's legit. Let me stop you with this. Let me cook. I cannot to 100% tell you that this ledger is legit. But what I can tell you is my job in the Air Force was doing audits on accounts that were grossly neglected, especially foreign accounts where foreign countries owed us money. So this is my version of editing the ledger. So this where the fuck are you? All right. So this is all their cash flow by year. Now, you will notice that my inflow and my outflow are different than what's on the ledger as presented. And the reason why is because whoever the fuck set up the ledger didn't properly code things. Every time money goes in or out, I have to code it as an inflow or an outflow because I don't have a master account of all their accounts. You got money going into Pathway Bank, Commerce West Bank, 5 different Chase accounts bank, John Moore's account. But you will notice something very interesting. What you will notice is this number right here exactly matches this number right here because each one of these lines is balanced this way. This is balanced this way. This is balanced this way, right? So all of these line up. I didn't just take fucking bullshit top bottom numbers. I balanced them all. I balanced them precisely because I'm not programmed with a do it half-assed feature. I don't know how to do things half-assed. So this is me breaking down, and I did this over the course of 17 hours. My wife was a wonderful human being, brought me coffee, brought me McDonald's, brought me food, brought me snacks. I did this over the course of 17 hours. I rebuilt their entire ledger according to the way I would do it if I had to say, gun to my head, where's the money? You'll notice that a couple of interesting things. I'm going to actually change this for a second so we can look at a couple bits. First of all, so you had interest income in several of the years, but in all of these years, you never had any money sitting in any savings accounts. That's interesting. We know that you had additional paid-in capital, but you didn't code it as such. You only had $21 million in sales. You had shareholder repays of $4 million. Okay? But Steven is carrying on this conversation with they converted the debt to equity. Every time debt was converted into equity, notes payable should convert in a subsequent year into paid-in capital and be zeroed out over notes payable because you discharged the note payable. Now you'll notice that there's notes payable in those amounts, right? But what doesn't line up is you have $124 million in notes payable, right? Where's $124 million in liabilities? Now, as I already said though, I balanced to the penny. I didn't get close. I didn't get within a horseshoe's distance of the pin. I balanced the shit to the penny. So where the fuck are your liabilities? Why? Where the fuck are all your why are all your notes payables not matched with a liability? Also, why do you have, right? Why do you have loans going to yourself, John Moore? So you have fraud, waste, and abuse General. You have shareholder loans to 2.1 million. Shareholder loans to Stephen Sharif, 3.6 or 362,000. Shareholder loans to John Moore, 3.9 million. General fraud, waste, and abuse of 2.1 million. Fraud, waste, and abuse to Stephen Sharif of 1.9 million. Fraud, waste, and abuse to John Moore of 5.2 million. You had $307,000 in meals. You had $19 million in unsupported transactions and $32 million in unclassified cash outflows. Now, I respect what you said. The ledger hasn't been confirmed as legit. However, I told you, I balanced it to the penny. And people that have, I haven't given very many people a copy of my ledger because it's my work and I work on it kind of like a puzzle. It's kind of like that crossword puzzle your grandpa's been working on for like 2 weeks. I work on it as I have time, but since I'm not being paid by anybody and I'm only awake, I'm only up and about 9 hours a day because I have a health issue going on. I just haven't had free time to work on it. The problem I have with that bullshit is that if someone cooked the books, then they cooked the books really fucking well. Because every single one of Jason's deposits that I know about is properly reflected close to the date he made it, but it's not coded properly. Robert Dawson's loans that Steven submitted are on the ledger appropriately. So if that's not the legit ledger, it's not a complete ledger because we don't have all the account numbers. But as I said earlier in the show, when Steven, because at the beginning of this show, I covered Steven's recent bullshit Discord post. Yeah, the Nevada case was dismissed. The judge didn't dismiss it on the judge's merit. The judge dismissed it because TFE asked for it to be dismissed. Because they're getting everything they want in the California case. Hold on. Let me grab this. I have full faith in your ability to make sense of the numbers, but what I keep going back to is how people are going against Steven way too strongly because he made a bunch of mistakes with the finance. Steven was being threatened and manipulated by the board. Oh, whoa. No, he wasn't. What bullshit is that? What bullshit is that? The company was in trouble since 2019. Steven's own words. The board didn't exist until 2024. His own words. His own fucking words. The board didn't exist until 2024. By 2024, the company was already in the shitter. Steven was being threatened and manipulated by the board. How is Steven being manipulated? Let me give you the other side of it because I don't have a dog in the fight. Have you seen the loan paperwork from Jason Karamanis? Steven's a fucking idiot. He signed a loan for 20%. 20% on $1 million. He's finally coming out and saying what needed to be said way earlier. Like when the threats started, but the situation was so sensitive, I can understand why he waited. The numbers definitely don't make sense though. I can't defend Steven's mismanagement of funds. He definitely fucked over investors and stole money. Right. But here's the problem with that. If I found out, and what Grumpy Old Man said, I think where the problem is that you're talking about Steven was manipulated. Steven wasn't manipulated. Steven did all the fucking around. And Steven didn't want to get his ass beat by Big Daddy Dawson with the belt when Daddy wanted to know where all the money was. See, that's the piece people don't want. Like, Jason Karamanis lost $13 million on this. It's pretty clear why Jason Karamanis is pissed off. He lost $13 million. Let me pull up the loan paperwork real quick because I have all this stuff. Let me show you. These are the terms Steven agreed to. Now, you said, does the U.S. have predatory loan interest not in private loans to individuals? A bank can't loan you predatory, but person to person, player to player, pimp to pimp, I can loan you money at any interest rate I want. If you can't get a loan anywhere else, I can put whatever terms I want. This is the loan agreement, one of many. 20%. Steven wasn't manipulated. This is from 2017. Steven wasn't manipulated. Steven wasn't threatened. Steven wasn't coerced. So what happened was Steven signed a loan for 20%. I don't know a lot about money. People keep telling me, I don't understand where all this shit hate for me comes from. I don't understand money, people keep telling me, but I do know that 20% on a $1 million loan turns into $2.4558 million in 5 years. I also know that when you say the board didn't exist, right? So right up there, it says 2017. Concurrently upon execution of this note, the company shall effectuate legal documents which formalizes the following: the creation of a board with Jason Karamanis as one of the board members. So please stop giving Steven the benefit of the doubt. This loan, when executed, requires the creation of a board of directors and for Jason to be one of the board members. But Steven's Reddit post is, the board that I said didn't exist only consisted of me, John, and Tom. But then in 2019, right? John's not even listed here as a fucking board member, and this is a cap table. And Steven's email sent to a lawyer attached is the cap table I just made. We didn't have one, apparently. You didn't have a fucking capitalization table? You didn't have a fucking capitalization table, and you were selling debt? You were taking debt that had debt to equity conversions in them? Dude, Steven, you got bigger fucking problems than losing your video game, my friend. You have... Steven is trying to make it seem like the board are the bad guys. The board aren't the good guys. The board are the other bad guys. But Steven is the worst guy. Steven is looking at numerous criminal investigations. Well, if he's looking at criminal investigations, why hasn't he been charged with anything? Why would the fucking district attorney that services San Diego County charge Steven with anything right now when Steven keeps submitting incriminating documents on his own in his own fucking filings? Remember, anything Steven submits with his name on it is evidence the district attorney of San Diego County doesn't need to go get a warrant for. Steven just submitted 400 pages of documents. Thanks. This is awesome. Appreciate you. Makes my job easier. Now I don't have to establish anything for any of these documents. I can work from these documents and see where I need to go. One of the members of my community chased down Steven's claim that the predatory mortgage. Now, I'm not saying that Robert Dawson didn't have some sort of mortgage control over Steven's house. But what I am saying is that no public document reflects that. Commerce West Bank and US Bank reflect having liens or transactions on that residence. I don't see Pathway Bank on there. We can't find it. So what's interesting to me is this. Innocent people say nothing. Guilty men keep talking. What has Robert Dawson publicly said? Not a fucking word. Robert Dawson hasn't said a public fucking word on any of this. Why? Because he doesn't have to. Steven does his victory lap yesterday. The lawsuit was dismissed. Yeah, because he's winning in your federal case in California. The judge in California said can oversee the Article 9 sale. Steven did mention there's more to come. So we haven't even seen everything yet related to the emotional stress he was dealing with. The 400-page document is emotional stress. Let me stop you right there. Emotional stress is bullshit. Is that felony or misdemeanor emotional stress? Which one is it? Because unless emotional stress is a felony or a misdemeanor, emotional stress is irrelevant. What's he going to say next? That Nafis, Zybeck, and I are putting him under emotional stress because we're talking about it and we're telling the truth? If he were to sue me right now for emotional duress, my only rebuttal back through my lawyer would be, am I being charged with misdemeanor or felony infliction of emotional duress? And since those aren't, emotional stress isn't a nothing burger without provable damages. It's a nothing burger, period. The truth is the ultimate defense. Nothing I have said in the last 9 months about Steven Sharif is a lie. Every single thing I have said, even in my op-ed pieces, I can tie to a fact. Period. Dot. Emotional stress is a crybaby word. If you can't take the heat, get your ass out the kitchen. We on a mission. I think Coolio taught that, and Steven's old enough to remember some Coolio. Yeah, he started cooking in the kitchen. Business is business. The board was keeping the company afloat. Now, I'm not saying the board were good people. That Aaron Bartels guy needs to have his nuts bit off by Piranha. That shit, the way that he talked about people, bottom performers, dude, yeah, taxes make necks emotionally duressed. Can he sue the government? Microtransactions give you emotional stress. You can sue. I give you permission to sue Steam. It's probably not going to work well, but I give you permission to. People don't put that kind of money up front without expecting a return. Right. ROI, return on investment, which is what the fucking laughable thing is. Steven is looking at potentially being charged. If the district attorney of San Diego County really, really, really wants to fuck with Steven, right? If the district attorney of San Diego wants to really, really fuck with Steven, they can charge him with 19,576 counts of wire fraud. And I'm not bullshitting. That is a completely legitimate, a completely legitimate path. The district attorney of San Diego County could charge Steven Sharif with 19,576 counts of wire fraud. Because every single Kickstarter backer backed the game with Steven's statement of "we have no investors," as stated in the massively OP interviews that says we have no investors. I'm self-funding the project. And in Steven's own exhibit, Ryan Ogden who was the chief financial officer, cannot find where Steven put in $4 million. Let's do a thought experiment. Steven knows, oh, you're doing it with him. Okay. But yet he marketed the product as not having investors. Right. That's why it's 19,000 counts of wire fraud. Steven doesn't understand that he's not the innocent party here. There's a whole lot of guilt. He wears some, Rob wears some, Aaron Bartel wears a lot. But what Steven fails to realize is you were the CEO on the 27th of December. You were told by the chairman of the board that he had talked to an Article 9 foreclosure attorney. Then why did you not issue the warn notice? Why did you not tell Midori to issue the warn notice? You don't need the board's approval to do that, son. You're the chief executive officer. It would have been within your duties, and you would have been protected to give the warn notice. Steven Sharif did not give a fuck. Did not give a fuck about those employees. He gave a fuck about he wasn't getting any equity in the new company because they could not prove he had ever put any of his own money into Intrepid Studios. Don't you think if Steven had put money into Intrepid Studios, it'd be really fucking easy to find? Shouldn't that be really easy to prove? Remember, when you issue out the first shares of stock, you put money in. So, yeah, Steven can make a lot of claims. But Steven is... The reason why I keep talking about this is the hope that I can add a little bit of counterweight to the bullshit he's doing, because he's doing the whole bullshit nonsense again. He's doing what he did with all of this shit once again. He's manipulating people. He is spinning a narrative that makes him look like the good guy. He's not the good guy. Right? This isn't good versus evil. This is evil versus evil. This isn't like, Nancy versus Freddy and you're rooting for Nancy. This is Freddy versus Jason. This is Alien versus Predator. You're not rooting for Ellen Ripley in the power armor suit versus the Alien Queen. This is Alien versus Predator. No matter who wins, we still lose. So, fucking bullshit. And it's not like you haven't been... I'm equally critical of the board. They just don't put out stupid shit. And then, of course, Aaron Bartels makes everybody's day with the stupid shit that he says. These are the bottom performers. We're not going to pay them PTO. We've already paid them more than they're worth. Who's going to believe them? They've been recently fired. Everyone's going to believe them now, you dumb shit, because you put that shit in writing. Aaron Bartels, you're the next contestant on whose ass is about to be the size of a fucking billiard ball. That's the shit. Like, what I don't understand about these people is this is the shit you talk about, right? This is the shit you talk about and you don't record and you don't write down. It's fucking disgraceful. It's fucking embarrassing. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. I hope, honestly, that what comes out of all of this is what I would love to see happen, and then I'm gonna get out of here because, like I said, I pulled my shoulder a bit out of the socket. That's why I have that on today. I hope what happens is this. Oh. Outside of the 400 pages he dropped recently, but I also agree that it's not really strong enough to hold up. So when more stuff drops, I have faith that Steven will either prove his side or I don't know. I think that you need to stop being pro team Steven and you need to be pro team Jalan. And just be like, you know what? When it comes out, jailhammer the shit out of it. Steven is guilty. Rob is guilty. Jason, I don't think Jason is really guilty of anything. The worst case scenario, two silos here. Is Jason a nice guy? He's nice to me. And just so everybody knows, so that, because I know what transparent means. I've talked to Jason now in several emails. He's nice to me because I'm a pleasant individual. In email, I'm a pleasant individual. The more I find out, Jason got taken for a ride to the tune of $13 million. Now, Jason has watched my shows. He knows what I said. I think he agrees with what I said. Right? And that's what I'm getting to. I think Jason agrees with me when I say Jason's a fucking idiot for giving $13 million to a guy like Steven Sharif. I think Jason agrees with me when I say that about him. Because he's a grown-ass man and he understands. I dumb fucked that and I gave this stupid motherfucker $13 million. With me, he's always been cordial and pleasant and professional. I understand when he's on Nafis's show, he's angry, right? But I don't owe Jason $13 million. I understand Jason getting aggressive and angry. Jason is nice, I'm sure, as you don't fuck with his money, right? I've had people who've owed me a lot of money, and although I've never threatened to break somebody's jaw, I've probably threatened to fuck up somebody's life. Hey man, if I don't get my fucking money from you, you're gonna see just how much I can fuck your life up. That sounds a lot like something I'd say when I'm angry, when I've got like 5 figures into somebody and they're dicking me around on the payback. That sounds like something I would say. Man, I don't think you're taking me very seriously. I don't think you know to what ends I will fuck up your life if I don't get my money. Now, I don't resort to physical violence because threats of physical violence are a crime, right? That's assault. All that person has to do is testify that they're afraid of me, and that's a misdemeanor. I think what we have is, I don't know what Rob did because Steven didn't submit all the paperwork. But it's interesting to me is that Steven says, well, there's more. Okay, well then why don't you fucking post it? Anyway, I'm gonna endeavor my best to make a little steak with my arm in the sling. I have to take a pain pill. I'm in a lot of pain. And you guys know my opinion about pain pills. I will be back, hopefully Monday to do a little politics. You guys be safe, be good at it. I'll be back on Monday.
I wonder if the organic meat sack that runs this channel knows a lot of these sponsors don't sponsor us anymore.
They were longtime sponsors. The credits are fine.
Do we get paid? Is any of this sponsorship money for Gale, Daisy, the Chaos Fund?
You are a figment of Jalan's imagination.